Kēia kūlana. Remember this word kēia? We first encountered this word in the kēia akena pattern. The kēia akena pattern is an actor emphatic pattern, placing emphasis on the person doing the action. The kēia kūlana is a situation emphatic, placing emphasis on the situation, either a time or place. Pepeke are sentence patterns. The pepeke is likened to an octopus with 3 parts: the poʻo, the piko, and the ave. The poʻo is the head of the pepeke, the piko its center, and the ave its tentacles. This metaphor is helpful when constructing sentences. Before we learn about kēia kūlana, let's review pepeke painu. Here is a table from one of my pepeke painu videos in my Hawaiian 101 playlist. The pepeke painu emphasizes the painu, the action or condition, which is why the painu is placed at the head of the sentence in the poʻo. When using the pepeke painu, we are emphasizing the action, noho, whether it's a fact stated by the simple tense, if it happened in the past, is happening in the present, or happening in the future. Hoʻopu swim at the waterfall is an example of a simple tense pepeke painu sentence. Here is an example of a kēia kūlana sentence emphasizing a situation, which is a time or place. The waterfall is where hoʻopu swim. In this sentence, we want to emphasize the waterfall and not necessarily the hoʻopu swimming. Keeping our octopus metaphor in mind, remember that the poʻo begins every sentence. Because we want to emphasize the waterfall, we place the waterfall in the poʻo. Ika lele. Why do we put an umi in the poʻo? Think back to our pepeke painu, hoʻopu swim at the waterfall. Holo ka hoʻopu ika lele. For the kēia kūlana, we are taking the kūlana, which is usually in the ave of pepeke painu, and placing it in the poʻo for emphasis. Next comes the painu. The poʻo of this pepeke will actually continue like a second poʻo, and this is where we place the painu, swim. E holowai. E painuai is a māka painu, a tense marker, which I will speak more of in a bit. Quick note though about the word swim. We have 2 words for swim, holo and au. Fish holo, kanaka au. Now, he aha ka piko. What is the piko? Ka hoʻopu. The waterfall is where hoʻopu swim. I ka lele e holowai ka hoʻopu. Now let's review our māka painu, our tense markers. Simple tense is e painuai. The waterfall is where hoʻopu swim. I ka lele e holowai ka hoʻopu. Past tense is I painuai. The waterfall is where the hoʻopu swam. I ka lele I holowai ka hoʻopu. Present tense is e painu nei. The waterfall is where the hoʻopu are swimming. I ka lele e holo nei ka hoʻopu. Future tense is ana e painuai. The waterfall is where the hoʻopu will swim. I ka lele ana e holo ai ka hoʻopu. Alia, wait a minute. Like a few other pepeke we learned, in this pepeke, if the piko is a papani, the piko will lele I mua. The piko will jump ahead. Let's see some examples. The simple tense, the waterfall is where they two swim, translates to ika lele lawa e auauai. The past tense, the waterfall is where they two swam, translates to ika lele lawa I auauai. The present tense, the waterfall is where they two are swimming, translates to ika lele lawa e auau nei. And the future tense, the waterfall is where they two will swim, translates to ika lele ana lawa e auauai. Note that for the future tense, the papani jumps in between ana and e painuai. Aliaho, wait one more time. Now let's look at how we can use this pepeke to ask questions. Let's go back to our hoʻopu in the simple tense. This sentence, the waterfall is where the hoʻopu swim, could be an answer to, how do hoʻopu swim at the waterfall? Pehea e holo ai ka hoʻopu I ka lele. Why do hoʻopu swim at the waterfall? No ke aha e holo ai ka hoʻopu I ka lele. With whom do o'opu swim at the waterfall? Me vai e holo ai ka o'opu I ka wailele. What time do o'opu swim at the waterfall? I ka hola ʻehia e holo ai ka o'opu I ka wailele. And for this poʻo, you could also substitute the word makahiki. I ka makahiki ʻehia e holo ai ka o'opu I ka wailele. What year? What season do o'opu swim at the waterfall? I ke kauhea e holo ai ka o'opu I ka wailele. A pela kākou e unuhi ai I ke kālele kūlana, and that is how we translate kālele kūlana.